There's a story the technology industry tells about itself right now, and it goes like this. Every company on earth is racing to adopt AI. Adoption is exploding. Nobody wants to be left behind. Most of that is true, but there's a second story, and it's happening somewhere much quieter. It's unfolding in finance meetings. In the moment, a chief financial officer asks a very simple question. We spent all this money, what did we actually get back? For most companies, the honest answer is not much. In the summer of 2025, researchers at MIT tried to put a number on it. They studied hundreds of real corporate AI projects, and they found that 95% of them delivered no measurable impact on the bottom line at all. 95%. That was the result after companies had already poured in an estimated $30 to $40 billion. So this video isn't really about whether companies are using AI or not. They are. It's about what they are quietly doing now that the returns haven't shown up, and who ends up paying for the gap. Let's start with the walking away, because it's bigger than most people realize. The research firm S&P Global surveyed more than 1,000 companies. They asked how many were abandoning most of their AI projects before those projects ever reached real use. Proof of concept is the industry term here. It's the small test version, the pilot you build before you commit to the real thing. And the share of companies scrapping most of theirs jumped from 17% to 42% in a single year. In 1 year, the abandonment rate more than doubled. And here's the strange part. It rose at the same time adoption was rising. More companies were buying in, and more were quitting, all at once. The same survey found something even more telling. The share of companies reporting a positive impact from generative AI fell across every single business goal they measured. Revenue, cost, risk, all of it. Not improved as the technology matured. Fell. And when S&P asked companies to name what was blocking them, 3 answers came back at the top. Cost, data, privacy, and security. Hold on to those 3. The rest of the story is those reasons playing out inside real named companies. The clearest example has a name most people know, Klarna, the buy now, pay later company. Back in 2023, Klarna went further into AI than almost anyone else. It built a customer service assistant in partnership with OpenAI, the maker of ChatGPT. The company bragged that the chatbot was doing the work of several hundred human agents. It cut a huge share of its staff, and it made this AI story the centerpiece of its pitch to investors ahead of going public. This was the future, and Klarna was already living in it. Then the future arrived, and it wasn't what they had promised. Customer satisfaction dropped. The AI handled easy questions fine, but fell apart on the complicated, emotional ones. Exactly the moments when a frustrated customer most wants a human being. By 2025, Klarna's chief executive admitted the all-AI approach had produced, in his own words, lower quality service, and the company started hiring humans again. The chief executive's explanation was blunt. Now Klarna disputes the word reversal. It says it never got rid of human support entirely, and it frames the change as a strategy evolving, not failing. But strip away the spin and the lesson is hard to miss. Full replacement failed on quality, and unwinding it, the rehiring, the retaining, cost money that the original savings never accounted for. The people who paid first were the workers who lost their jobs, and the customers who got worse service while the company was figuring it out. Klarna's story is about quality. This next one is about money, and it's the one that should genuinely scare finance departments, because it happened at a company where AI worked, and where almost everybody used it, Uber. Here's a term you'll need. When you use an AI model, you pay per token. A token is just a small chunk of the text the model reads or writes. Every question and answer burns tokens, and tokens cost money. Running the model is called inference. More usage means more inference, which means a bigger bill. At Uber, engineers adopted an AI coding tool at an astonishing rate, around 95% of them, according to the company's own earnings report. With AI now writing more than 1 in 10 lines of Uber's code. This is the dream scenario every vendor sells. Total buy-in. And then Uber burned through its entire AI budget for all of 2026 in 4 months. The tool had spread faster than the finance team's forecasts had ever imagined. Individual engineers were running up bills somewhere between $500 and $2,000 a month. So Uber did something revealing. It capped its own people, a $1,500 monthly limit per employee per tool. But the most important moment came when Uber's own chief operating officer was asked the CFO's question out loud. All this spending, all this usage, is it actually producing better products for customers? His answer: sit with that. This is not a company that failed to adopt AI. Adoption was nearly total, and the person running operations still could not connect the enormous bill to real value for users. This is the ROI problem in its purest form. It isn't that the tool doesn't work. It's that works and pays for itself turned out to be two different things. And the pricing only pushes in one direction. Anthropic, the company behind the tool Uber was using, moved away from a flat monthly fee towards charging by usage. So the harder your AI agents work, the more you owe. Even researchers who expect the raw cost of running these models to fall by 90% by 2030 warn that the enterprise bills still won't shrink because the newest AI agents simply chew through far more tokens per task. So if the returns are thin and the bills are brutal, are companies ripping OpenAI and Anthropic out of the building? Mostly no. What they're doing is quieter and smarter. They're refusing to run everything through the most expensive option. Listen to Mark Benioff, the chief executive of Salesforce. He's one of the biggest AI believers in corporate America. He says Salesforce could spend $300 million with Anthropic this year alone. And yet, even he's building what the industry calls a routing layer. Think of it as a traffic cop that sends simple jobs to cheap models and saves the expensive frontier models only for the genuinely hard problems. That instead, pay for the Ferrari only when you need the Ferrari is spreading fast. It's a big part of why open source models have become so attractive. In January 2025, a Chinese lab called DeepSeek released a model that matched the top American systems on reasoning tasks at a fraction of the cost. Because it was open, free to download, and run on your own machines, it offered two things at once: much lower cost and the total control of your data, since none of it has to leave your building. Remember, the three reasons companies gave for backing away: cost, privacy, security. Open models take a swing at all three, but control cuts both ways. And this is where it gets uncomfortable. Because DeepSeek came out of China, American officials call it as a security risk. The state of Texas banned its employees from using it. So the very move that solves your cost and data problems can crack open a brand new one. Now we can answer the title honestly. Companies are abandoning OpenAI and Anthropic. That's half true. And the half that's false is the important half. Companies aren't mostly firing the AI labs. They're abandoning the promise that this would obviously automatically pay for itself. They're capping the spend. They're walking back the over-automation. They're routing the cheap work somewhere else. This is the real churn. It isn't a door slamming. It's a hand tightening on the meter. And here's the twist that tells you who actually holds the power. While all of this belt tightening was happening, the AI labs themselves were not shrinking. Anthropic's revenue was reportedly running out at around $9 billion a year at the end of 2025, and roughly $30 billion just 3 months later. And even with all the open source excitement, the closed frontier labs still account for the large majority of the actual usage, and an even bigger share of the money. Look at what that means. The labs set the price. They change the meter so it charges more the more you use. And they still grew fast, while their customers scrambled to control the cost. The uncertainty got pushed down onto the buyers, and in cases like Klarna's, the hardest costs got pushed down even further onto the workers who were let go, and the customers who quietly absorbed worse service. To be fair, this isn't a simple crash. A lot of it is just what happens when a powerful new technology grows up faster than the systems around it. The small group of companies that redesign how they actually work, instead of bolting AI on top of the old way, really are getting a return. And some analysts argue that the shocking 95% failure figure is overstated, a snapshot of an early, messy moment rather than a final verdict. But the shape of this is hard to unsee. MIT called this split the Gen AI divide. And the honest version of that divide isn't just winners and losers. It's about who captures the value. A handful of labs and a handful of disciplined companies, and who quietly carries the cost. Here's the part that lingers. None of this is really a story about a technology failing. By almost every benchmark, these models are more capable than they were a year ago, and they keep getting better. The quiet part is something else. The quiet part is something else. It's that adoption and value turned out to be two different things, and the bill arrived long before the payoff did. So the real question was never whether companies would keep using AI, they will. The question is who ends up paying for the distance between what was actually promised and what actually showed up. And whether the people signing the checks today are the same ones who will be left holding them when the meter is still running and the returns still haven't come. If you like this video, like, share, subscribe. We'll see you soon in the next one. Till then, peace out.